I grew up in Trumbull, Connecticut, Fairfield County outside of New York City. Oldest of 4 boys in a family, and kind of the suburbs. And I was just a really nerdy kid growing up. I mean, one of the things I actually did was I'd write down long numbers and multiply them on the living room floor. This is before video games, obviously. I love to read science books, you know, dinosaurs, wow. That was just so much fun, and anything pretty much on science. And history, I really liked history. Well, my father wanted an athlete, and I wasn't. I was just the nerd. But I was 5 years older than my next brother, so I could, even then when I was taller, I could beat him at basketball. Once he grew up, forget that. My father worked at Sikorsky Helicopters. He was a radio engineer, but he never went to college. Back in those days, you know, he had experience in the war, World War II, and he was able to get a job. And my mother stayed home till we kids all got grown up, and then she worked as a dental technician. I was brought up Congregationalist, you know, Protestant, and we went pretty much most of the time. I remember going to Sunday school, which I liked at the beginning, but then as I started going through high school, I drifted away from it. And I remember at one point writing my minister a note saying that I didn't believe in God and I didn't want to go to the youth groups anymore. Then I went to MIT. MIT was just wonderful. I mean, for the first time I realized there were other kids like me, you know, and they had all these great classes on math and science, and you know, the expression is getting an education at MIT is like drinking from a fire hose. There's just so much there. I loved it. I took a lot of math courses. I think I took 16 math courses in 7 semesters. You didn't have to pay extra to take more math courses. You could just learn as much as you wanted. After MIT, I spent 3 years studying theoretical math, and it made me feel lonely and alienated. You couldn't talk to people much about it. There weren't any great jobs. So I went and worked as a computer programmer for 2 years, and then I decided to try law school. Some of my friends said it was not too hard, and I figured I'd learn how to read and write. I like classical piano. I take lessons now. I used to play tennis a lot, but I hurt my knee, and I'm getting back into bridge, which I used to play in college. I like to bike. I take bike trips. I've been to China, Egypt, Italy several times, Europe, London. My wife and I took a hiking trip in Peru to Machu Picchu last spring. I started writing the present version of the book maybe 10 years ago. It was discouraging because I didn't know if I'd ever publish it or ever finish it. And then maybe 5 years ago, I was having dinner with a friend of mine who's now head of physics at MIT. And I said, you know, someone should write a book about this because I'm finding modern science strongly supports belief in God. And he said, well, maybe that someone could be you. My first thought was I'd write a book on math because I just think it's so much fun, and then I could explain it perhaps to people and make them appreciate it as art and not as boring. But to write a book on math, I decided I needed to bring in the real world and physics and things in a way to make it interesting. And at some point, it's kind of hard to explain, but God took over because I started seeing all this evidence of design, and the book transformed into a book, the book it is today, about science supporting belief in God, the same God that's the God of the Bible. And I go through 7 different areas of that in the book. I'm giving a series of talks at my church now in Florida, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive. It's kind of like there's a technical footnote added to the Bible that science supports the basic concept of a designer God for the universe and in life. Well, the concepts that are in the book are from mainstream science. So, I mean, I read books on physics, cosmology, molecular biology. I read the basic graduate level textbook on molecular biology and the complexity in the cell. And then I got hooked into a group of scientists online that really broadened my horizons, and it's just been astonishing for me to find out what's out there. Oh, I learned so much that surprised me. In September 2012, this ENCODE project, mapping the human genome, found that basically all of our 3.2 letters of DNA serves a purpose, and they found that there's multiple levels of information in our code, which I don't think everybody realizes it, but mathematically that just destroys Darwin's theory. Because you can't get information by chance. I mean, that's one of the key points of my book. You can't get complex information by chance. The mathematical odds of that are impossible. I think when a lot of people hear the word science, they think it means what I call a religious belief that there is no God. And when you view science in the right way of just trying to figure it out, you know, experimentation, observation, and reasoning, I find it's totally consistent with religion. Well, the Bible says that God created the universe, He created earth, and He created life. Those are fundamental scientific claims of the Bible. And the evidence of science totally supports that. You have the Big Bang theory of a created universe. You have the fine-tuning of the universe just right for life, which is accepted by all atheists even. And you have this stunning evidence of design in all human creatures and stunning complexity. The idea of my book that I want people to remember is the question, where does information come from? In all of history and in all of human experience, we've only gotten information from intelligence. I think that points strongly to a God that designed the universe and designed life.